Welcome back. We now have Zach Aaron in studio with us for volleyball coverage. Zach, what do you have us from the volleyball team doing this week?
Pioneers volleyball team hasn't gotten off to the start that they quite expected. As of right now, they are 5-8. They did get off to a quick start, winning their first 3 matches in the early bird tournament at Dearborn, but then went on a 7-game losing slide leading up until this past weekend, where they won 2 of their 3 games at the Point Park hosted Battle of the Boulevard tournament, including a very big win over KIAC rival IU East, who beat the Pioneers last season to win the KIAC championship. The team has been led by senior Nicole Wursel with a spike that moves very quickly. Another notable player is Roxanne Grummeyer with a great spike. I do believe their record doesn't correctly show their level of talent. During the recent 7-game losing streak, 4 of the matches went into 5 sets, and of those 4, 3 of those 5th sets were only lost by 2 or 3 points. That just shows they've done a very good job of keeping themselves in games. If I can put a blame for the slower than expected start, I would say it's the fact that we are looking at a pretty much completely new team. Of last year's team, only 3 letter winners came back for this season, and right now, Nicole Wursel is the only one that's playing, due to an ankle injury plaguing Chelsea Katkich and Keaton Sussman having to deal with eligibility problems. We also have a lot of new players on this team, whether they are freshmen or transfers. There are a few freshmen that really caught my eye early on into this season, and they are Shiloh Simonson, who had 7 aces alone against IU East, and Nikki Incortano also looks very good early into the season, setting up some very big kills. But this is a very important stretch and a big test coming up for the Pioneers because their next 7 matches are on the road, and 6 of the matches are against conference rivals. If they can come out this weekend winning at least half of those games, I would put them in a good position for the rest of the season.
Now, Zach, you look at the team, you mentioned the 7 losses there in a row. How much does that really affect the psyche of a team after you start off a season pretty well?
From what I know, the team doesn't seem to be very much affected by it. Luckily, it was in the beginning of the season where they know they have a lot of time to get better, and they showed it at the Battle of the Boulevard tournament, winning 2 of 3. The only one they lost was to an NCAA D2 team, Tiffin College. But I'd say, like I said, this week is really going to prove a lot to me about this team and how they're going to go this year. If they can win at least half of those, I'd put them into the KIAC tournament at least.
Now, before we get into the road ahead there, you mentioned them playing IU East. We're going to look and see now. They defeated IU East after they lost to IU East last year in the KIAC championship. How big is that for them to defeat a team that they lost to in a championship game last year, Zach?
Yeah, it was a really big deal, and honestly, if you ask me, that was the best that they've played all year. Everyone just looked on. Nicole Wursel had all kinds of kills coming our way from Cara Bradley. The Cara Bradley to Nicole Wursel combination is one that can beat pretty much anyone. So I would say that may have changed the course of the season after a pretty bad 7-game losing streak.
Now, you mentioned there's a lot of young blood on this team after a lot of seniors left last year. With them getting so much experience early in the season, do you really think that'll pay off for them later on as they continue to gain experience out there on the court?
Yeah, I'd definitely say that'll probably be one of the biggest factors going into this second half of the season. The fact that they have all these young players will greatly affect them. Over half the team is freshmen and sophomores, so in the coming years, as they get into junior and senior year and they have years to build on their already great skills, we may have a KIAC championship team in the next few years, if not this year.
Now, real quick before we go to break here, Zach, you look at this team and you see the road ahead. They have a lot of games on the road. How big of a stretch is this for them? Because this is, like you said, all in conference.
Yeah, like I said, this is probably the biggest stretch they'll have all year, especially with 6 of those 7 games being against conference rivals. And all 7 games are within the next few days up until this Sunday, the 15th. So I'd say with a big schedule, traveling out to Kentucky and Ohio and seeing how they do on the road and not just in a neutral site, like I said, this will show a lot about the team, and I expect them to do pretty well.
All right, great stuff there, Zach. On the volleyball team, after the break, we'll have cross-country runner Connor Mulvaney join us for an in-studio interview Don't go anywhere.